Tony Stark is a brilliant billionaire who owns Stark Industries, a leading weapons manufacturer. Known for his intelligence and playboy lifestyle, Tony is admired and envied in equal measure. On a trip to Afghanistan, Tony demonstrates the Jericho missile, a state-of-the-art weapon capable of massive destruction. The demonstration impresses the military, and Tony is in high spirits. But on his way back, his convoy is ambushed by a group of terrorists known as the Ten Rings. The attack is brutal, with explosions ripping through the desert and soldiers falling under heavy fire. Amid the chaos, Tony is severely injured when shrapnel from a Stark Industries bomb lodges near his heart. He is captured by the terrorists and taken to a hidden cave, where his life hangs by a thread. When Tony regains consciousness, he finds a crude electromagnet powered by a car battery attached to his chest, keeping the shrapnel from killing him. In the cave, Tony meets Dr. Insen, a fellow captive who saved his life by creating the electromagnet. The Ten Rings demand that Tony build them a Jericho missile. Realizing the danger, Tony pretends to agree while secretly devising a plan to escape. He and Insen begin working on a project to create a miniature arc reactor, a powerful energy source that can replace the car battery and power an armored suit they plan to build for their escape. Using scraps of metal and pieces of Stark weapons, the two work tirelessly, knowing their lives depend on the success of their plan. As days turn into weeks, their bond grows stronger, and Insen shares stories of his family, reminding Tony of the cost of his weapons. However, their captors grow suspicious of their activities, and time begins to run out. Tony channels his genius into the suit, determined to survive and confront the consequences of his weapons falling into the wrong hands. The armored suit is finally complete, a bulky but powerful creation equipped with flamethrowers and rockets. Just as they are about to activate it, the Ten Rings discover their plan and attack. Insen sacrifices himself, drawing the terrorists away to buy Tony time. Heartbroken but resolute, Tony dons the suit and powers it up. He fights his way out of the cave, using the suit's weapons to destroy the Ten Rings' stockpile of Stark Industries weapons. Outside, he finds Insen mortally wounded. In his final moments, Insen tells Tony to make his life count. Overwhelmed with grief and guilt, Tony launches himself into the sky using the suit's thrusters but crashes in the desert shortly after, destroying the suit. Rescued by the military and reunited with his friend, Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes, Tony returns home to Malibu, a changed man. Back in the US, Tony takes a bold step by announcing that Stark Industries will cease the production of weapons. His decision sends shockwaves through the business world and angers Obadiah Stane, his father's old partner and the current manager of Stark Industries. Obadiah warns Tony that this decision could destroy the company, but Tony remains firm. Retreating to his workshop, Tony begins refining the arc reactor and designing an improved version of his armored suit. With the help of his AI assistant, Jarvis, Tony creates the Mark III, a sleek, advanced suit equipped with cutting-edge technology and weaponry. This new suit symbolizes Tony's commitment to making amends for the harm caused by his company's weapons. Meanwhile, his assistant Pepper Potts and his best friend Rhodey notice his transformation and growing determination. During a charity event, journalist Christine Everhart confronts Tony with evidence that Stark Industries weapons are still being used by terrorists to harm civilians. Shocked and furious, Tony realizes that his company is being manipulated. He confronts Obadiah, who dismisses his concerns. Determined to take action, Tony dons the Mark III suit for the first time and flies to Afghanistan. There, he saves a village under siege by the Ten Rings and destroys their weapons cache. The villagers cheer for their mysterious savior, but Tony's identity remains a secret. On his way back, Tony is intercepted by two US fighter jets. A tense aerial chase ensues, during which Tony demonstrates the suit's agility and power. To stop the attack, he reveals his identity to Rhodey, asking for his trust. While Tony focuses on stopping the misuse of his weapons, Obadiah secretly retrieves the remains of Tony's original suit from the Ten Rings. He begins developing a larger, more destructive suit called the Ironmonger. However, his scientists struggled to replicate the arc reactor, which is essential to power the suit. Tony grows increasingly suspicious of Obadiah's activities and asks Pepper for help. She sneaks into Obadiah's office and discovers files proving his betrayal. Obadiah had been secretly supplying weapons to terrorists and even orchestrated Tony's capture. As Pepper downloads the files, Obadiah nearly catches her but lets her leave, unaware of what she knows. She immediately contacts Agent Phil Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D., a counterterrorism agency, to help bring Obadiah to justice. Obadiah, realizing he's been exposed, decides to act quickly. He visits Tony's mansion and uses a sonic device to paralyze him. Stealing the arc reactor from Tony's chest, Obadiah leaves him to die. Weak and barely conscious, Tony crawls to his workshop and installs his original arc reactor, giving him just enough strength to suit up for a final confrontation. Meanwhile, Obadiah powers up his ironmonger suit and unleashes chaos, determined to eliminate Tony and solidify his control over Stark Industries. The two face off in a brutal battle that takes them across the city and onto the rooftop of Stark Industries. Despite the ironmonger's superior size and strength, Tony uses his wit and agility to outmaneuver him. Knowing he's outmatched, Tony devises a risky plan to overload the facility's main arc reactor. With Pepper's help, Tony lures Obadiah onto the rooftop and instructs her to activate the arc reactor's surge. The massive energy burst disables the ironmonger suit and sends Obadiah falling into the reactor, killing him instantly. Exhausted but victorious, Tony collapses, knowing he has saved countless lives and stopped a grave threat. The next day, S.H.I.E.L.D. provides Tony with a cover story to explain the events of the battle and Obadiah's death. However, during a press conference, Tony surprises everyone by abandoning the script and boldly declaring, "I am Iron Man." The revelation sends shockwaves through the media, and Tony embraces his new identity as a hero. In a post-credits scene, Tony returns home to find Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., waiting for him. Fury informs Tony that Iron Man is not the only superhero in the world and introduces him to the idea of the Avengers Initiative.